Sometimes, people have to interact with wild animals, and often such contacts do not end well. But sometimes, people get lucky with animals, which is nice. What's even better is that some of these moments are caught on camera. From incredible shark attacks to the most unusual encounters with crocodiles, ostriches, and lions. In this episode, I'll show you 1 in a billion animal lucky moments caught on camera. It's worth seeing. Let's go! Reverse Zoo. Ever wanted to see some of the most majestic and formidable animals on the planet up close, but fear for your life? You won't believe it, but there's a solution for people like you. It's the so-called reverse zoo. For example, the Lion Reserve in South Africa invites everyone to see the king of the jungle from the closest possible distance, and most importantly, without risk to life. I can't even imagine the feelings of the people in this video. After all, in fact, they're the exhibits here. The lions look at the guests, sniff, and rub themselves against the construction, and the lioness lies on the top. By the way, the cage is made of metal and plexiglass. This way of observing wildlife was originally intended for photographers, and now is extremely popular among tourists. The lion wanted hugs. In this video, the tourists obviously don't need a cage, just like the lions, because this story took place in the Safari Park Tayan, which is located in Crimea. During the car ride, the king of the jungle named Philia approaches the tourists. The cheeky beast climbs into the car, where it starts hugging and licking tourists. Then the predator gets out of the driver's seat and heads toward the others. The lion licks them, rubs itself against each of them, and of course, lets itself be petted. The lucky tourists are obviously in pleasant shock over what's happening, because not every day can you pet a real lion, which is also very cute. Encounters with crocodiles. It was a nice night of fishing. Well, it would be nice if the man hadn't come face to face with a crocodile. Watching the float carefully, he noticed a head approaching him from the right, resembling that of a crocodile. Trying not to become lunch for this predator, he immediately ran back down the trail, and the crocodile began to chase him. Scared to death, he even fell to the ground. Fortunately, he pulled himself together in time and tried to scare off the hungry reptile. But he wasn't very good at it, so the man ran a couple of meters away. This time, the toothy predator stopped chasing. This day could have been the fisherman's last, but he was very lucky. And this man is sailing peacefully in a kayak in North Carolina and has no idea yet that he'll soon become a convenient target for a hungry alligator. His peaceful pastime is disturbed by a sound. It makes him stop right there, but apparently he doesn't pay much attention to it and just decides to swim on. Now get ready, because the man himself wasn't ready. The reptile shows its mouth and aims for the prow of the kayak. It capsizes, and the man ends up in the water. Now full of adrenaline, he fortunately manages to get the kayak back into position and tries to catch his breath. He no longer wants to risk his life, so he quickly turns the boat around and leaves the bad place as fast as he can. Surfing with a shark. In 2015, 3-time world surfing champion Mick Fanning was attacked by a shark at a tournament in South Africa. The athlete was just getting ready to start his performance. The cameraman managed to get unique footage at that very moment. The shark attacked the athlete from behind. Instead of showing off his skills on the board, Fanning had to fight the shark off. The surfer wasn't hurt, but he was shocked. The uninvited predator had only bitten the cord connecting the surfer to his board. Soon, the rescue boat arrived. The shark had lost the battle, and that, of course, was a good thing. Lemon shark. Diver Michael Dornelis was shooting underwater footage off Tiger Beach in the Bahamas. It was at that moment that a lemon shark decided to swim as close to him as possible. The shark ran its nose right into Dornelis' face. In the footage, you can see that it hit the mask. Such a close encounter is an extra reminder to always look around, especially when you're in shark territory. Even though this species has poor eyesight, that doesn't mean the shark isn't aware of the presence of humans in the water. Michael and Mick managed not to fall prey to sharks. But will the other people in this episode be as lucky? One of them had to encounter a real bear. Stay tuned to find out how it all ended, as well as to see other incredible animal moments that will impress you. Bear racing. It's especially wonderful to ride a bike in the woods, to breathe in the fresh air and feel the pleasant wind blowing in your face. But it's good only up to a certain point, until a huge bear jumps out of the thicket. And if it's also hungry, then the sport will turn into a tragedy. This couple of cyclists from Slovakia could attest to that. They had no idea that a bear would be joining their sporting duo. Fortunately, It didn't make it through the race, and people in this case were lucky not to become its lunch. A herd of bison. On October 3, 2021, in Yellowstone National Park in the United States, a visitor had to pretend to be almost dead to avoid being attacked by a bison. The footage shows two tourists getting too close to a couple of bison, and one of the animals reacted very unexpectedly to this prank. The chase began. The man was more agile, but the woman stumbled a few seconds later. She was left lying motionless. The bison also stopped and started smelling the stranger. Other park visitors shouted at her to pretend to be dead, which she did. The bison got confused and eventually retreated. All in all, it was a miracle that the woman escaped the attack of such a powerful animal. Whale shark. The whale shark is the largest fish currently living in the world's oceans. It's a filter-feeding carpet shark, which means it feeds on plankton, squid, and small fish. In this footage taken in the Philippines, it just swam in search of food, sucking up everything around. By the way, the whale shark is safe for humans, unless, of course, it's provoked. The shark was so keen, and diver Geir Johansen was so fascinated, that he was drawn to the mouth of the predator. By the way, for a man who all his life suffered from a panicked fear of sharks, or, as it's called in science, salachophobia, it was one of the most frightening moments of his life. Although such an encounter with a shark could not overcome his fear, for him it was still an amazing experience. Ostrich attack. In this case, we can say that the man was more lucky than unlucky. The man wanted to hug the world's largest bird, but the bird, in turn, only became enraged, mistaking the man for a threat. The bird threw the man on his back and began to strike him with its beak and legs. The victim was not confused and grabbed the ostrich by the neck and legs. Only then did the ostrich retreat. The man had no injuries and got only minor scratches because he'd fallen on a thorny bush. Who knows what injuries this big bird could have caused if not for the reaction of the victim himself. Sea lion. A Canadian student was just filming a sea lion on camera. No one knew what was going to happen in just a minute. The animal was watched by several people in addition to the cameraman. A little later, the lion swam very close to the people. It rose from the water and reached for the girl who was right on the edge, but dove back in. The people were left thrilled, but the laughter quickly disappeared. A few seconds later, the sea lion surfaced again, grabbed the girl's dress, and dragged her into the water. She was immediately pulled out by eyewitnesses. Fortunately, the girl was all right. Rhino on the road. You're driving down the road and suddenly encounter one of the largest land animals, the rhino. The action took place on the highway in the Indian state of Assam. The drivers, of course, gave way to the rhino. It was in their own interest. A lion demanding attention. In South Africa's Kruger National Park, a lion attacked two cars carrying tourists. Fortunately, the tourists were all right because they were protected by a car. The lion, on the other hand, seemed very upset. Initially, the female had motivated it to action, or rather, her indifference to the male. It wanted to show the female how brave it was, but it got nothing out of the tourists or the female. Wolverine. On a protected natural area in Leningrad Oblast, a park employee encountered a predator that you don't see very often. In general, it's not necessary to encounter it, as the wolverine is very dangerous. It's a predator that can track its prey for days and nights. In addition, it can reach speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour. It's lucky that the cameraman was on a snowmobile, because you can't run away from a furious wolverine on your own feet.